Sup, internets? What are you doing? It's Tuesday night. Got a brand new microphone, so this is my first test fire on the microphone. And the funny part of it is that I am just getting over a wicked cold and flu. I don't know. You could call it what you will. It was definitely a combo of both, and of course my voice sounds like I've been swallowing razor blades for a couple of days. Deep throat, if you will. I mean like that caper in the 70s. Nixon. Right?
Sure, babe.
A little wink and a nod to the lady over there. Anyhow, so I finally got the hardscape done on the... I don't even know if it's the new 180. I've had it for a while now. But I shot some video doing it. This is basically... I did this on Saturday. Basically when I was coming down with the... under the throes of the retrovirus that I've been under for the last couple of days. I managed to put this together as best I could before succumbing to the need to lay on the couch and feel like garbage. But I think it all came together pretty well. 180-gallon tank. I used 8 bags of substrate, and I have way more substrate than I should have, realistically. But on the upside, it's nice and deep, and luckily my math worked out better than I had anticipated. I kept thinking that 8 bags was not enough, and then I was checking my math, and I know there's online calculators. I don't use those, probably to a fault, of realistically only needing 7 bags, maybe 6 I could have gotten away with, but I definitely did need the 2 extra bags of sand for the plants in the front of the tank. One thing you guys will notice, I don't plant my tanks until they've been filled. The reason for this is, generally speaking, I uproot a ton of my plants when filling my tanks. For whatever reason, I'm just not that great at planting them when I only have substrate in there. And you can see I normally add my substrate with a little bit of water in. It helps. For me, I will generally rinse off any of the dust and whatnot with that water that's in the bottom of the tank, and then let the tank cycle until I can. And the other added benefit to that is that I have to get the water up to temperature before I add my plants, especially in the winter time here. My water is coming out of the tap at 42 degrees, which I think most of you know tropical plants don't do too well when you take them from a 72 degree environment and put them in a 42 degree aquatic environment that's just going to rip any kind of warmth they have left in them. That's one of the big issues with melt off. But there is no way to really acclimate them to that lower temperature unless I put them out and get them to the lower temperature and then let them raise up in the tank. Whatever. It just seems like a bunch of extra steps when the tank is going to be cloudy anyhow, and I'm going to have to run the tank to get to get all that cloudy water out of it. I'm going to have to do that anyhow. So, and I don't mind sticking my arm down and getting it wet by planting with a tank that's full. That doesn't bother me. I know that it bothers a lot of people out there, and they like to plant their tank when it's still empty and just has the substrate in it. I know some people also do a dry start that way, which is you'll put your substrate and rocks and all the hardscape in, and then plant it, and then keep it super, super humid in there and let it grow, and let all your plants grow in the air in the meantime, because of the CO2 rich environment that the air of the Earth has now. I'm sure you've heard on some of the news reports that global warming, the CO2 levels are over 400 parts per million nowadays. It doesn't matter where you are either in order to get that. You can see here I used the fluorite bag as my little barrier on the bottom from the hose stirring up the tank, which in hindsight was kind of a ridiculous thing to use because it's like a fluorite advertisement now. Throughout the whole video, it just says fluorite black in the front of the tank while the thing fills up, which is slightly annoying, but not that big of a deal because I do endorse fluorite black. It is good. It's really good stuff. I know some people a while back got mad at me because I got upset for Seachem selling me overpriced pumice. I was looking through my videos on YouTube, and it's one of my more popular videos, and I get a lot of hate mail out of that one. But yeah, anybody that out there that's wondering, yeah, I did talk to Seachem, and it is pumice. So if you're looking for matrix and you want that for your tank, just go buy some pumice and acid wash it. They use muriatic acid, which is actually super cheap to get at the hardware store. You might not be able to find it at Home Depot, but True Value, mom and pop hardware stores, you can find it there, and acid wash it if you want, or you could just rinse it off with hot water, which is generally what's going to happen there. Anyhow, back to what's going on in this tank. Like I said in the previous tutorial, I guess, is it a tutorial video? I don't know, but in the previous videos on this tank, I talked about the substrates that I put in there. I put in 2 bags of the ADA Amazonia, 4 bags of the Fluval Stratum, which, if anybody out there, the Fluval Stratum is my favorite substrate. I highly recommend it to anybody. It is the easiest substrate to use. It is the easiest substrate to plant plants in and have them just grow. It is the best one-stop substrate that I've ever used. And then I have 2 bags of the fluorite black sand, which is it's a finer it's a really fine substrate, and it's really good for the fine-rooted stuff. So I've put that in the front, and then here I am adding the dragon stones, which look janky as all get out. So I'm gonna have that's the one thing I'm gonna have to be moving before I start planting. I haven't gotten to the planting yet, but I've just been letting the tank run, and I've been running a cycle on it while it's warmed up and cleared out the scape cloud, basically the cloudy water. I'm gonna do a quick water change on it and polish the water a little bit more before I plant it. But the dragon stones, I put those in there and I thought everything was hunky-dory and they looked real good, and then of course after flooding it I looked at it. But that's another reason why I don't like to plant a lot before I flood the tank, is that I like to be able to see the tank full of water with all the hardscape in it and where things are. If I'd planted that whole area and then pulled the dragon stones out and moved them all around, I would have just had a bunch of plants floating. They would have popped out of the substrate anyhow, and I would have just had to replant them. So that's kind of the other reason why I do it that way, and it makes it a little bit easier for me to go that route. And here you go. You can see a little time lapse on the filling here of a 180 gallon tank. As you can tell, it takes quite a while. This is definitely one of those tanks where you, I do, and I recommend anybody else, set a timer and come back once the timer goes off, because it is just a complete and utter mindfuck to stare at the water slowly, ever so slowly going up, because you can't turn the water on full blast because you're going to blow the plastic out of the way, and then just have a hose going straight at the substrate, and the water's going to be insanely cloudy. So that means it's going to take a long time to fill it up and let it go on a bit of a trickle. So generally what I do is I'll set up a piece of tape that is an inch long, and I'll see how long it takes the water to go that 1 inch rise. And I'll calculate out from there how many inches left to get up to the top of the tank, and I'll set a timer from that. Pretty simple math. And then once the timer goes off, I'll come back to get all this stuff out of the way. I think I bashed into the camera there and kind of screwed up the time-lapse a little bit. Look at that. Wild. Anyhow, I'd like to say thanks to all the new subscribers out there. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Watch all the commercials on here or something. Apparently that helps me to earn some income off YouTube, which I think is kind of ridiculous, but then again, nobody's ever donated to my channel, so I guess watch the commercials and maybe I'll be able to make $1 off this fucking shit that I've been making videos for the last 3.5 years. Although I definitely have stepped up my game. I looked at some of my really old videos, and those are a shambles of nonsense, but especially to all the old subscribers out there, thanks for watching. All right, later.